Welcome to At Home, of course, the podcast. Yarra Rangers Life TV podcast. It's the first one for 2020, I believe.
The fifth or fourth? I can't remember.
Yeah,
I think it's fifth in total.
This year.
For this year, it's the first one. We haven't had one at all.
Well, I mean, it's understandable.
Yeah.
Been a bit of a crazy year this year. Coronavirus aside, lots of stuff's been happening at home, of course, with the Yarra Rangers Life TV, in Danny's life, in Karina's life, and in my life. And we thought we'd get the podcast fired up again and bring us up to scratch as we get back out and about in the valley and the ranges, and share with you guys, of course, what we've been up to over it's November.
Yeah, yeah.
This year's gone so quick.
Yeah,
Like,
it has, even despite lockdown, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's just crazy.
Yeah.
Been a roller coaster ride for everyone, I'm sure, out there.
I think it's like
nuts.
5 weeks or 6 weeks to Christmas.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not long, which is crazy.
Yeah, support the local economy, all right? Buy your Christmas presents locally. That's what we like to promote.
Yeah, exactly. All these markets we've got.
Yeah. Now, tell me, Karina, what have you been doing this year in this crazy year of 2020? Because
Yeah, well, I think lockdown's been well spent for me. For those who don't know, for the last year and a half, I've actually been doing my Diploma of Community Services. So if you don't know what community services, the whole sort of umbrella term means, because I didn't when I first started, but it's the mental health care sector, it's youth, drug and alcohol, family violence, all the sort of services that support the community when they need it the most. So that's what I've been doing for the last year and a half, and I'm just a few short weeks off completing my diploma.
excellent.
It's been probably one of the best decisions I ever made was to do this diploma. It's been just invaluable. I think what it's taught me for entering the community services sector is amazing, but also just life skills in general. How to be empathetic, how to be an active listener, how to show people that you truly hear them and understand them. Those are skills that, I think everyone should have to be a good person.
Yeah.
I'm almost finished and I've already applied for a job. I'm hoping to do some school counselling.
Nice.
I was lucky enough to secure a placement essentially as a school counsellor with some young people for a school.
Who did you do the course through? Go on, plug.
Well, my course is through Box Hill Institute in Lilydale. Amazing institution. They're just unbelievable. I've had some of the best teachers.
That's the Lakeside campus.
The Lakeside campus, and I secured my placement with Series Services, which have a community hub as well as a school. But their school is, it's pretty amazing what they do. So they take in young people who have disengaged from regular education. So whether it's due to trauma, mental health issues, being bullied, they may have some learning challenges, and essentially they come to the Series School and they get a different type of education. It's more holistic, more supported. It's heavily focused around well-being, which is something that I believe all schools really need to start focusing on more, because I always used to say when I was younger in school, I moved schools 8 times because I was number 1 bullied, number 2 the education system didn't fit my more creative type of personality. And I think what schools are starting to do now and what the Series School does really well is it adjusts the learning style and how it's delivered and the support depending on the student. And that creates better adults and better people contributing to our society as when they're older. And it also, the impact that it has on young people in their schooling years is like it saves our government money for years and years and years to come, because it helps people to address their issues when they're younger rather than ending up with drug and alcohol issues, family violence issues, all the things that perpetuate from childhood and from things sort of not being quite right for each person. There's a lot of pressure on people.
I can totally relate to what you're saying there, and it's kind of like the education system is beginning to wake up to the fact that not everyone fits the standard model.
Exactly, yeah.
And, it's great to see more TAFEs and things opening up again, and more of an alternative, futures and streams. Because Siri, they're in, is it Yarra Junction?
Yeah, and Mount Evelyn.
Mount Evelyn, and then they've got the community hub in Churnside.
That's right, yeah. Amazing organisation, and due to COVID, and thanks to COVID, actually, the government's injecting millions of dollars into mental health. They will be over the next coming years, which is really fantastic. So if you are struggling out there, and particularly, you know, due to lockdown, a lot of people are feeling disconnected, isolated, you know, feeling guilty. I know a lot of people, I've heard some of my students say they've been feeling guilty because they haven't had as much connection with their friends. But, you know, don't hang on to it. Talk to someone about it, and you now can get 20 sessions through the mental health care plan through your GP to see a psychologist instead of just 10. So there's access and services out there if you need the help.
Absolutely. We'll be talking a bit more about that later on in this podcast too.
Yeah.
Yeah, sounds like you've loved the course.
Absolutely.
Because like Karina's work with the channel, it's all, again, like what we all do, it's all about giving back to the community. It's about, you know, informing, engaging, entertaining, reconnecting with. And it sounds like this course is just right up your alley.
Oh, I'm so passionate about it. Yeah, so passionate.
You are. You've always been like you were known as the positivity officer.
Yeah, positivity officer. That's what people used to call me.
And everyone would always go to you, and you'd be the shoulder. And
yep. And now I can get paid for it, so it's a win-win. No, but doing meaningful work, I truly believe that doing meaningful work is, you know, it's the only way to be free in your life. You know, if you love what you do, then you're free, and you know, that's true happiness.
Yeah.
So lockdown well spent for me. You know, I wasn't heavily affected by it, but I know some people were. Danny, you were in China when it all started, weren't you?
Yeah, so so I was in China, so we went back to China for the Spring Festival. So it's basically, Spring Festival is like the New Year's celebration, so all Chinese make the pilgrimage back home.
and just to clarify on that, of course, because Danny's fiance, just to clarify, she's Chinese, right?
Yes, I'm not Chinese. So we went back to visit family and stuff like that. It was really odd because in December, the brother told me, "Oh, watch out! There's a virus over in China. It's killing people." Blah blah. And I was like, "Whatever. It's like just a common cold."
Yep.
We get over there. We got over there in January, and we basically caught up with some friends. We stayed in Chongqing. Now, to give you an example, Chongqing has got 38 million people.
38 million.
In that one city.
In that one city. That's more than all of Australia.
Wow.
Yeah.
And as an end thing, like, they've actually had less cases of COVID than all of Victoria.
Yeah. Wow.
So less cases amongst 38 million
people.
people
Yep.
than in Victoria.
Yep.
Yep. But how did they handle it?
So
this is the
so I
thing.
suppose the thing is that, so we went over there. We were in Chongqing. Just trying to remember how the story, what happened. We caught up with some friends. A couple of them got sick, but not COVID. Just got sick. We had actually a friend, June's best friend, Davis. He's actually from Wuhan. Now Wuhan is also about 6 hours from Chongqing, and he was coming to visit. He got sick when he got back home, but again, not COVID.
Wow, that was lucky.
Just give it, and also too, because in January it's winter, so it's freezing cold.
Yeah.
So COVID's starting to make its rounds. We were in Chongqing. We went to visit June's parents in Heishan, which is about 2 hours from Chongqing. We got there, and then basically the shit hit the fan. Things are starting to close down. Wuhan lockdown. They turned all the traffic lights red, so you couldn't travel anywhere.
Wow.
We're talking hard lockdown.
Hard lockdown.
Yeah.
A lot more harder than what Victoria's had.
Yeah. And that was right from the get-go, wasn't it?
Right from the get-go, yeah. Within the, I mean, well, that was in January, so I suppose they let COVID free for 2 months, I suppose.
Yeah.
Because December was sort of when it
began
started,
to appear, yeah.
So we stayed in Heishan for about 10 days, no internet, freezing cold. I was wearing like my snow jacket to bed. It is that cold. It is colder than what I've had before.
And tell them about the heater as well.
Oh, the heater, because I mean, China is, I suppose, we in China, and something like in Japan as well. There's like a little seat that you sort of sit around, and it's got like heating underneath it. So you put your legs in there and you sort of warm up. Then you get out and it's freezing cold. Like it was freezing.
Yeah.
Like there's no.
What are we talking like 5 degrees or?
Yeah, and there's no central
Always,
heating. There's no like.
Because you're in rural China.
Yeah, so rural China. Basically, whenever we walked around, it was always wearing a mask. They have fireworks there and stuff like it, which is fun. Sort of seeing that stuff because that's what happens in that time. Then we went back to Fuling, which is about an hour from Chongqing. Again, people wearing masks. I had to go to the police station twice to say I'm a foreigner in this area.
So you have to check in, basically, so that
we then managed to leave China one day before lockdown,
Before they
international lockdown,
Yeah.
before Australia put the lock on.
Crazy.
Now, again, to give you an example, is that in like the airport in Chongqing, there's temperature checkers. So whenever you get scanned, because of from SARS, so SARS was a big thing,
of
and
course,
basically all the airports have put in these temperature checks. So they just used it for coronavirus. We had to go through about 4 different checkpoints.
Wow.
Checking us and stuff like that through the thing. We managed to get on the plane. Everyone was wearing a mask.
Yep.
They sprayed us down with some chemicals to sort of get rid of anything that was there on the plane.
Really?
They also temperature checked us. Each passenger, they went and checked everybody, except for Ju, because she was on the toilet on the plane. So she missed it. But we came back to Victoria, and no one was wearing a mask. Everyone was just like, it's Australia, it's not going to happen here.
Yeah.
We went through all the checks, you did the thing where you have to tick if you've been to these countries and stuff like that, if you've got a cold or whatever. We then, and June's a teacher age, so she was going to start at Park Hill Primary School. So we arrived back in Melbourne. She was going to start on the Monday, I think we arrived on the Saturday or the Friday night. And we contacted the DHHS, where it is, and they said, yep, you've got to be quarantined for 2 weeks.
Stay at
So we
home
stayed at home for 2 weeks. We went to a couple of doctors in Lewerdale, and none of them were like...
Yeah, they wouldn't see you, would they?
They go, I can't do anything about it, because we didn't have any symptoms. We just wanted to make sure that we were checked, just in case, because I didn't want June to be working with kids and then giving them...
Because at that stage we didn't have testing here set up, did we?
No.
Not at that point, no.
Yeah, it was... And that's because Victoria just didn't know what was going on.
Yeah.
So, like...
I think it was across Australia too. I mean, you got to remember, quarantine, and the border patrol side of things. That's all the federal government side of things. So
no one knew what was going on, and even back in February. So this was about the start of February, I think it was. I was actually going to do a course. So I've actually got my diploma for information technology. So I went and did that, and for the first month, I was going into Melbourne, and I was wearing a mask, and people were looking at me like I was a weirdo.
That's right,
wearing a mask.
People did look at you weird, And
that was the thing, it was, I suppose, the difference between China and Japan. In Japan and those kind of Asian countries, if they're sick, if someone's sick, even if it's just a common cold, you wear a mask. Because you don't want to give the flu to your workers.
Is that right?
Yes, it's very much like, keep it to themselves, but still work hard.
So the mentality there is, I take responsibility for
my health,
not just my health,
but the health of others,
but your health as well. I don't want to give you my germs.
Of course.
And that's, so it's in that culture, it's, you wear a mask if you're sick, so you're not spreading your germs to other people.
Yeah, that's
now
right.
that might seem so foreign for us here, but look at the flu season this year, for example. There've been bugger all flu cases because it's like we've remembered hygiene. Wash your hands regularly. You know,
simple things like that make a huge difference. But I do remember you being quite baffled when you came back.
I said back in February we should have put a hard lockdown for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And do the whole 5 kilometre thing. And then, of course, they didn't do that, and it just blown out. And now we've had thousands of people getting it, and everyone's blaming Dan Andrews. I don't follow politics, but at least he's done something to prevent this getting out. I mean, look at America. I mean, that's just got crazy.
Yeah, it has got crazy.
And Europe is again spiking. That's why with our live broadcast we keep asking you guys to do the right thing. I'd hate to see a third spike before Christmas. All it's going to take is a couple of weeks, and before you know it, with everyone getting out and about, going to the beaches and moving around freely again, please just stick to the rules. Remain socially distant. Until there is a vaccine, this thing's still going to spread unless we stop the movement.
And I'm planning to get married in April, but that's not going to happen now because we can't bring the family over. So
so you've had to reschedule your marriage, your wedding and everything, and replan that as well.
And I suppose, look, and And I suppose another thing too, I've got a new job. So
Yes.
Oh,
so
yes.
there's so much going on that we haven't.
I know,
haven't talked
it's been
about.
so long.
So-
Hold on to that
Okay,
thought
hold
for
on.
a
Okay,
moment.
next one, okay.
We're just going to go to a quick ad break, of course, thanks to our sponsors. Stick around, we'll have more chats on the other side of this break. Cheers. Yes, massive shout out and big thanks, of course, to our sponsors. Bank with a bank that gives back to the community, of course, your local Bendigo Bank branch. Did you know, guys, that there's actually two types of branches? There's actually community branches, and then there's corporate office branches.
I noticed it the other day. Yeah,
it's the community bank branches
yeah.
that give back to the community.
Yeah. So the other ones, what, they just pocket in their money and
I think it goes back into
to the CEO, or
like the big Bendigo Bank kitty as opposed to the community kitty.
Yeah.
So to find out which bank you should be banking with, scroll back through. It's in the post. The local guys around here in the Valley and the Ranges. We've got them listed. There's tags to their pages. Support those guys. And Clark's Ice Cream, our brand new sponsor, which is fantastic
I
to have
know.
Clarky on board.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Clark's Ice Cream's gotten a lot of traction throughout the local notice boards, posting their locations, and people are chasing them around.
Absolutely.
And yes, we're very lucky to have them on board as a sponsor. Mind you, I think I'm due for a gelati. So next broadcast, I expect an ice cream.
they had a good,
David, if you're watching.
Yeah.
I'm
Karina's
hanging.
really nice fig shake. I had it
Yeah,
last
you had the
time.
fig shake. Yeah, I love the sorbet. I'm a big
Yum.
fan of
Sorbet.
the soft sort of
The
icing.
gelatis. Or gelatos.
Yeah,
I
like the
can't
gel-
remember which one.
Yeah.
Anyway,
and then
delicious.
it's available too for like if you're having a party or something and want to have an ice cream van and make it a real
Or
experience.
a funeral.
Yeah, you
Yes,
even
the-
said, Pat, a funeral.
That's well, I didn't
Yeah.
say Clark's. David told us. He said, yeah, but we've actually been to a funeral as well. I thought
I can totally imagine like Weekend at Bernie's, like get the
That would be awesome.
get the deceased to be like, they're serving ice cream, soft serve.
Oh well, it'll sure lighten the mood.
So, of course, coronavirus hit and we couldn't get out and about in the Valley and the Ranges anymore. And we tried, of course, to still keep a bit of a vibe out there, doing Valley Vibes, some live music broadcasts during the downtime, and to keep you guys entertained. Because we weren't doing as many broadcasts, there was a great opportunity that came up for Dan. And I flicked you a message saying, Dan, the professionals are looking for a videographer. Tell us about your new role.
Yeah, so I mean, I was going to go for a career change, and that's why I went to information
IT.
technology. Yeah, to be a filmmaker, to do camera, it's really hard to make any money in this industry unless you're over in America or somewhere else. So I was like, well, at the start of the year, I'll end up working as an IT, working in as a web developer, do that kind of thing. Because out of the gate, you can get about 60, 70K as a junior, and then it gets to about 120, So there's some really good money in it, and that's the way that the industry is sort of moving. So I did that. I spent, we had to work, we had to do in the city, and then went lockdown, did remote learning, which was quite challenging, trying to learn at home. And then about 4 weeks, no, it was 2 weeks before the final assignment, that was basically to the end of it. Eddie and yourself, so Eddie from the CFA contacted me and said, there's a job for the videographer. And I was like, look, thanks for that, but I've already now gone this way.
Yeah.
And I thought, look, I'll try it anyways. I'll apply for it. So I went there, and then Jeff Ernie is like, the pay's, hey. And I was like, what? I was like, well, just to do videos. And I'm like, okay, now I'm intrigued.
Yes, I'm interested.
Yeah. So
well, you won't get that with me. I'm sorry.
No,
there's no money in community TV. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So I applied for it and was successful, and then
And you get to do what you love.
filming. And so I get to travel around. I think they were even at the very start. They were like, you got to enjoy this job because it's not as exciting as.
Yeah.
But it is like, I mean, I get a joy from it. It's sort of going through the house and.
Yeah, getting your nice
Getting-
shots, nice angles, which Danny loves. He loves his lines, doesn't
Yes.
he?
And I think they're pretty happy because I managed to do at the moment a house and then the edit that day.
Yeah.
So I'm doing probably about 4 or 5 houses a day.
Yeah,
and
you're
then
really
editing.
pumping them out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think they're happy with that. But it's sort of, I mean, I work to a system. I've got a routine.
Yeah.
That's why I can do a midweek wrap in a couple of hours because
Yeah.
there's this system that is brought in. So once you do the workflow, it's pretty simple. It's just doing it.
Yeah.
so yeah, that was it. And I got that, and so now it's this on weekends and whenever spare time, and then during the week. But we're working remotely at the moment because again, COVID is just we can't really be back in the office. So it's
Karina, how did you find learning remotely too? Because obviously you had to do some remote learning.
Yeah, I think the way that the Institute put all of our courses together and switched to remote delivery was really well done on their part. I just missed being in class. I miss being face-to-face with the other students, connecting with them. Yeah. It's different face-to-face, isn't it?
Definitely.
You learn off other people. You learn off conversations with other people. You get more one-on-one time with your teachers. But look, I think, none of us have been through a pandemic before.
No.
No one ever expected this to happen.
On how to handle this. I mean, we haven't seen this in 100 years.
Yeah.
And of course the technology and everything's different now than what it was back then. So
I think that all in all, we've all managed to do our best, and we've gotten through it for the most part. I mean, we're almost out of it.
And yeah, it's been frustrating at times, for all of us, I'm sure, at different times. It's affected us all differently in different ways.
Yeah.
But we're still here.
Yes, we are.
And I think one of the great things that's come out of this is that we really do better together as a community.
Yeah, that's right.
When we do have that mindset of we're all in this together, and we respect our fellow neighbours, our fellow family members, our fellow shoppers that you don't even know, but you're sharing that space with them. And I think that's one of the things that I've noticed, a lot of people respecting each other's space.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, a positive that's really come out of it.
when you're walking down the pathway, there's a little old lady. She quickly gets to the other side of the road to get away from you.
I've had actually.
Everyone runs from me.
I've had an opposite experience in that because Mum and I have been walking a lot, trying to stay in fit, in good shape during lockdown, and because you can't smile at people when you're walking past now. We're finding everyone says hello, good morning, good afternoon, and we've had some great conversations on our walks because you can't smile at people anymore. So it's actually started up conversations with people. I've met amazing, lovely humans in Mooroolbark that I never knew lived in Mooroolbark just from having masks on and not being able to smile. So we've said hi and started chatting.
Nice.
I love that.
Yeah.
And that's, to me, I just feel like that's something that's true throughout the whole Yarra Valley. Like, we're country people at heart, aren't we? Really, we're country people.
Absolutely, and that's again one of the things I love about the Valley and the Ranges is this country town kind of feel.
It does feel, it's got
Yet
that feel.
we're on the Melbourne metro urban fringe.
Yes.
With Churnside, Kilsyth, Baronia, those kind of built up areas.
Yeah.
Even Mount Evelyn,
Yeah.
But then the further out you go, I mean, but still Mount Evelyn has that sort of country town kind of feel to
it does.
which is,
Just quickly, when I was younger, I moved to Carrum Downs. So I moved from, where was it? I think Mooroolbark. Yeah, Mooroolbark to Carrum Downs. And I lasted a year in Carrum Downs because it was literally like going from the country to the city, just the personality types. Nothing against Carrum Downs, but the Yarra Valley's has amazing people in it.
Yeah.
And I know you've felt a lot of support as well from people in our community, Pat. I don't know if you want to speak on some of your, things that you've been through.
I will. We'll touch on that. Just heads up, maybe a bit of a trigger warning coming on the other side of the next break. So, but yeah, I'll be sharing a little bit more about my personal journey. Yeah, this year has been just. It's hard to describe. It's a roller coaster ride, but So essentially, it's great to be getting back out and about. And as you would have noticed, slowly we're ramping up our production again. I don't know where to begin with that. But I just want to finish off on some more positives before we talk about that.
Yeah, after the break.
Yeah, after the break. So some more great positives. It's great to see the people online too, pushing and plugging shop local.
Yes.
Support local businesses on the notice boards. Everyone's appreciating the fact that, the local businesses have been struggling a lot, obviously, during shutdown. They've reinvented themselves in many different ways. We covered a lot of those stories, over the last sort of 6 months.
We did,
yeah, where we could here and there. And there's some amazing stories out there. So please don't give your money to Amazon. Don't give your money to eBay.
Wish, no more wish.
Yeah, if you can get it locally,
Wish
if you can get it locally, buy local, shop local, get a voucher or something, or some gifts, because there's a lot of traders out there that need your support and are trying to get back on their feet after a pretty struggling and pretty tough time in lockdown and ISO.
Absolutely.
I brought my new camera locally.
Did you?
Did you?
Yeah. They're the only ones that had it, really.
Okay.
So Croydon Camera House, I think it is. Got the new Blackmagic 6K, so...
Yeah, fantastic.
Yes.
So it's
6K.
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 Yeah.
See, we can do video production up to 6K.
Don't zoom up too close with that 6K, will ya?
I've got a filter on there. a nice soft filter.
We need
No, I
a
am
filter
not
for our
that shallow.
diva.
I'm not that shallow, guys. Come on.
You brought something in for show and tell.
I did.
Oh,
Do you want me to
yeah.
do that
Yes,
now?
do that now
that,
before the
yeah.
break quickly. Go on.
All
Before,
right.
yeah.
Okay, so this is a local business. I haven't even told them that I'm going to plug them, but
who's
it's
it?
actually owned by, I think it's one girl. I'm not sure, but I met her and her friends at the Belgrave Big Dreams Market.
Yes.
The business is called Wednesday's Web. Now, my mum bought me a beautiful gift
Yeah.
from these guys as an early birthday present, and you guys won't believe this. I wish I could do it close up. I don't know. Just hold
Maybe
it
Danny
across
can
here,
punch
Danny.
in.
Yeah, if you
go
go
to the
one there.
6K camera. There you
Yeah,
go.
I'll better punch into that.
So this
Yeah.
is what's known as an atlas moth. They're native to Thailand. I've actually held one in my hand when I went to Thailand many years ago. But my mum saw it, and because I'm a bit of a gaming nerd who loves Animal Crossing at the moment,
Yeah.
atlas moths are one of my favourite things to catch. So
In Animal Crossing,
In Animal
yeah.
Crossing. So Wednesday's Web, they have a whole lot of different entomology?
Entomology, yeah.
Bugs that they've...
Entomological pieces, perhaps.
Correct. I don't know. Look, I don't know. But either way, they've got beautiful butterflies, moths.
It's real?
It's real.
Where do they get them from, Karina? I like to.
So they're ethically sourced, the lovely lady
Yeah, because
told me.
I know some of our viewers will probably be going, oh
Yeah,
no.
no,
So-
they don't kill them. So they're
Yeah.
either, I think they're found that way. So
I think it's to do with the butterfly park that's over there. So when they die in the butterfly park,
I think so. That
That's-
actually was, I think that was what Mum had guessed, because we went to a butterfly park where they had atlas moths. So none of them are killed. They're all ethically sourced.
Sourced, yep. Ethically sourced specimens.
Yes.
Handmade in Melbourne, and it's from Thailand.
beautiful.
Yeah, so look up Wednesday's Web. I know they're on Facebook and Instagram.
And just quickly for our viewers, when is it your birthday?
13th of December, so it was a very early present.
You're very, yeah.
But I love it. Like, I just like things that are a little bit different, unique, and where else can you see something like
That's
this?
right, yeah.
Love it.
Only on Animal Crossing.
Only in Animal Crossing. They should sponsor me, like, seriously.
All right, guys, stick around. We're going to have a quick word from our sponsors and we'll be back. Trigger warning. I'm going to get personal, so share a bit of my journey.
Bring your
on the
tissues.
other side of this break.
Bring your tissues for Pat's issues.
Thanks, guys.
All right, so
yeah.
Pat, okay, so I know a lot of our viewers have been asking on the page, how are you going? Obviously, you put up a post, the Brotherhood, was it the
Yeah.
Brotherhood? Sent you a care package.
They did. So let's just go back a little bit. Anxiety. So trigger warning, right? We're going to talk about anxiety, depression. We're going to talk about mental health issues, especially men's mental health issues. So I had anxiety as a young teenager, depression as of my mid-teens. It was diagnosed in my early 20s, and I did a course of medication of antidepressants back then, which actually exacerbated the symptoms.
Yep.
And like a lot of men that have underdeveloped coping mechanisms, I dare say,
Yep.
that we grew up in a generation that harden up, drink a cup of cement, big boys don't cry, all that kind of stuff. A lot of men would self-medicate with a variety of different stuff. I know that when we moved to Australia, I was blown away by the drinking culture.
Huge
The
drinking
the
culture.
drinking culture here, it was just nuts.
Still is.
You drink to celebrate, you drink to commiserate, you drink because it's the weekend, you drink because
Yeah.
you've knocked off work, you drink because, bugger it, I want to drink, right?
Yeah.
So sadly, for a lot of my life, I didn't address those issues that were the underlying issues,
Yeah.
right? Which goes back to what you were saying earlier on about, a lot of childhood issues or teenage issues aren't addressed at that time when they need to be addressed because they haven't been identified, or, the kid doesn't know how to talk to the GP, or thinks that the kid doesn't realise that there's something different or something's wired differently, or that. So, sorry. So this year, or basically over the last sort of 18 months, I decided to make a conscious effort to tackle my mental health, and it was great. I was getting somewhere. I was taking medication. So, fellas, step one: if you don't feel right mentally and you feel that you can't talk to your family or your friends, step one: talk to the GP. Contact your doctor. Have a chat to what you're feeling, what you're going through, and they will then advise you on the best course. Now, if you don't feel comfortable talking to your doctor, there's a million and one support lines out there, whether it's Lifeline, okay? I've used Lifeline. Whether it's Direct Line for alcohol issues.
Yep.
Whether it's Beyond Blue or
You can call the CAT team if you're in serious crisis. There's also Kids Helpline. There's the Black Dog Institute. Plenty of services available.
Yeah. So if you feel like you can't talk with your family and friends, start with your GP. And there is no shame in saying, "Hey, I think I need some help." The problems that I'm going through and working through, this is not coronavirus related, right? It's psychological, it's emotional. So there's a lot of crap that happened. The year was a bit of a crazy roller coaster ride, without getting into the nitty gritty of it. But I essentially had a mental and emotional breakdown.
Yeah.
Which basically I'm beginning to crawl out of, or to come out of, with the right medication, with counselling services and counselling support. There's 2 different counsellors I talk to. So again, if you can't talk to family and friends, get professional help. That's what they're there for. And as you said, there's if you talk to your GP about a mental health plan, you can now get up to 20 free mental health care sessions with a psychologist.
Yeah. No, you can now get 20. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
It used to be 10. And the difference between a psychologist and a psychiatrist is able to prescribe drugs.
They're able to diagnose clinical mental health issues and diagnose medication.
So
I just prescribe rather, yeah.
Yeah. So when I broke down, I'd never experienced anything like this before in my life. Like, I thought the end of my marriage was hard. No, this was the lowest that I've ever been in my life. And I actually admitted myself to Maroondah Hospital. I was in a short stay for 24 hours, and then I was moved across to the psychological assessment and planning unit. Now, they're there to psychologically assess you and then work out a pathway for you to move forward and get the support that you need. My experience, sadly, I was assessed on the third morning of my stay there. So the second morning at Papu, there was issues that came up that they identified that needed to be addressed, through the proper channels. And then they proceeded to tell me that I was going to be discharged at 2:30. And for me, I was just at a loss because, how do I put it? I was in a position where I couldn't care for myself. I couldn't look after myself.
You actually said to me, "I don't feel safe leaving," and I said, "I don't think you're safe to leave either." And I got on the phone with the psychologist there, and I said, "Look, I genuinely do not believe that Pat's safe to leave. And it kind of shocked me. And like, we're not blaming any individuals here. It's a
No,
systemic
it's a system.
problem.
Yeah, it's a system.
But we were basically told, well, look, we've got to make room. We've got to have some beds available. So he has to go.
Yeah. And basically, in a time of crisis, after being assessed by two professionals who had identified some issues, who then told me that, okay, you're going to be released at 2:30, the question was, well, where am I going to?
Yeah.
And it was, well, you're going back to wherever you live.
Yeah, you're going home.
Yeah. And
Didn't they say, oh, here's some numbers to call as
yeah,
well?
well, basically I challenged them on that. I said, so what, you're going to send me back into a place that's full of triggers, and in a place where I don't necessarily feel, safe.
Yeah.
And basically their response was, we'll give you some numbers that you can call.
Yeah.
Right. So the patient who was in crisis situation and non-functioning was then given the burden and the task to go find yourself some respite.
Yeah.
And like I went home. I was at home for and again like temporary accommodation. I was at home, I think, for 4 or 5 days while we tried to find somewhere for me to go.
Yeah.
And then we found somewhere for me to go. I was in SRS, Supervised Residential Services. And that was one of the places that the team at Maroondah recommended. It was just not the right fit. I was basically in a place that looked after people that had acquired brain injuries, dementia patients.
Yeah.
It was
it wasn't the right
was
environment for you, and also there was no mental health nurses there to support your emotional needs. I mean, you were in crisis. It just wasn't the right place for you to be. There was no supervision. It was, you could come and go as you please. So, I mean, too bad if you were suicidal at that time. I mean,
and
nothing
just
would
walking
have...
out of the train tracks.
So I just think, this is why. But the problem is we need funding for mental health, and especially after COVID, because it's affected everyone differently. And unfortunately, you had probably your most lowest rock bottom during lockdown, and you asked for help. You asked for help, in a crisis, and unfortunately, the help that was offered just didn't fit your circumstances.
No.
But
But I don't get it, because they're drummed in our faces about calling these numbers, all this kind of stuff like that, and then they don't give you the help. Like, is it breaking communication there, or breaking?
It's simply support? To do with demand. Like, the system is so overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Even before COVID hit, right?
Yeah, oh yeah.
The mental health services side of things has just been overwhelmed, and also the addiction side of drug and alcohol and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Those services have been underfunded for years.
Yes.
And instead of funding those sectors and supporting people that are trying to get back on their feet to be functioning and contributing members to community, both federally and at a state level, the funding hasn't been there. I mean, like with the organisations that we've been dealing with and we've been interviewing and providing a platform for, whether it's Anchor, whether it's Holy Fools, whether it's the Dandenong Rangers Emergency Relief Service, like these frontline services are crying for funds and support because they've been so overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And it's the same with the mental health care side of things.
But people shouldn't be deterred from asking for help based on that, should they? Because
don't give up.
I actually feel that the problem is with the crisis response. When someone's in a serious crisis, I do not feel that the response, as it is set up in the system right now, is enough. But the mental health care sector is pretty good at the moment in the Yarra Valley. We have a lot of services in the east. There's a lot of lines you can call. There's a lot of great psychologists, great counsellors, great youth workers. But I've had a lot of personal experience with friends entering into the crisis intake type departments of hospitals and, calling the CAT team. And I've lost count of how many people through different crisis type situations, and unfortunately I haven't found it to be great. But I do believe it'll get better. I think that the conversation around mental health and just general well-being and being open is improving, and it has improved, and I think COVID's helped with that even. People have been more open about how they're coping online. So of course, definitely don't be put off by that experience, but it's good to know, and it's always good to have a personal story, because nothing's as valuable as lived experience.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. Anything that basically, no, I won't use that phrase, but basically but for me it was a case of sometimes one day at a time, sometimes 1 hour at a time, sometimes even just 5-minute blocks at a time, and not putting too much pressure on yourself. If you're having a day where you can't function, that's okay.
yeah.
And as long as you're taking your medication, that's the other thing I wanted to say. Fellas, if you do need medication, take it, whether it's antidepressants, and you might need to try a couple of different ones to see what's right.
Yep.
Stay on top of your script. I had a terrible experience where I didn't realise I didn't have enough antidepressants for the weekend. I was out of antidepressants for 3 days before I could get the script renewed, and the come down, the withdrawals from that.
Yeah, it was not ideal.
Oh, that was
I
another
almost
spiral.
slapped you for that one,
was-
didn't I?
yeah, I was just
"Pat,
kicking
you
myself."
can't do that.
Yeah.
So it's important that if you're going to stop a medication, particularly mood stabilizers and antidepressants, that you're directed by your GP in weaning off them. You can't just stop.
Yeah.
It's really, it can be quite dangerous just to stop any sort of mood stabilizer.
Absolutely, and of course, always consult your GP. One thing I wanted to say, at that post that you guys did when I went into hospital, I saw that a couple of days, I think on my 3rd day while I was in there, and you guys out there, your comments, the feedback, the love,
Support, yeah.
I was bawling my eyes out.
Yeah. Very humbling, wasn't it?
It just blew me away, the support that you guys gave me. So just from my heart, thank you so much.
The community, it's a huge part of your support network. It's not just your friends and family. I personally feel very supported by our whole community, and I know you did during that time.
Yeah, still do, and like as you said, Victorian Brotherhood, to the guys out in Victorian Brotherhood, they're an online page. Fellas, jump onto the Victorian Brotherhood page. It's a men's help support group. They're also local as well, so it's fellas looking after fellas, sharing their experiences and helping each other. Of course, I don't just want to talk about the fellas, ladies of course as well, goes without saying, talk to your GP. If you feel that you're unsafe at home, unsafe environment, same thing, talk to your GP, and they can also refer you to some additional services as well.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing your more personal stuff, Pat. I know people are always wondering what's going on in our lives, and they see the bubbly people in front of and behind the camera, but we're real people with real struggles, and just being in community media doesn't make people like yourself immune from these types of issues. So and people forget they see the happy smiley face in front of the camera. When we do our lives, that's 10 minutes of masking. If anyone knows what masking is all about, it's fake it till you make it kind of stuff. So a lot of the broadcasts that you have seen this year, bloody hell, a lot of the broadcasts you've seen since we started. It's been an interesting journey, but also this year, they've been challenging. When we're together as a team, we're also, I don't know about you, but my mood completely changes. I can feel grumpy right up until the moment I get on location. I see you guys and I'm like, all right, let's go.
Yeah, let's go. No, I love working with you guys. I love the support that you guys have given me too, and your understanding. Love you guys so much. So,
it's been an awesome exactly 2 years for me now.
Yes.
Almost exactly 2 years.
Stick around.
I reckon it almost is to the day, almost.
Well, your first broadcast that you were in was Cup Day in 2018.
Yeah, so that was like,
But you didn't do any talking. It was a non-talking role.
It was a sign holding.
Sign
holding. And I felt very important doing that.
Yeah.
But 2 years, I'm still here.
Yes, congratulations. You are still here. Yes.
So,
I know. What did you do before me? Who knows?
What do you mean? That was me, baby.
2 years.
Yeah, it's been 2 years. Yeah.
Because.
What?
Oh, yeah, because last.
Yeah, it's 2 years.
I'm just trying because I did a surprise birthday party for June, and that was 2 years ago. So I'm just trying to remember.
I was not there.
No.
But we didn't properly
get
to know each other.
Because you didn't do the first wrap until I think it was early December.
Yeah.
Because Jim was still with us.
Yeah, Jim Brown was still there.
Oh,
Shout out to
that's
Jim
right.
Brown. Of
Oh,
course.
yes.
Oh, he's still alive. I mean, he was with us. I mean, Jim was part of the thing.
Yes, yes, he's still alive.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, it's been 2 years. I know time flies when
Yeah.
you're having fun.
Absolutely. So stick around. We'll have a special tribute for Karina coming up over the next few days, of course, after the
I can't wait.
at-home podcast. So
And Danny, how's the blooper reel compilation coming? We haven't had as many bloopers.
We haven't done. I mean,
we haven't done enough.
I mean, in some, that's what before, like November, like we've missed out on what 6 months of stuff.
yeah, like we had to cut production of midweek wrap because we didn't have budget.
It was like April, we sort of stopped because we were all in lockdown, and then April, then all the
then
way
Yeah.
through.
I had my thing, and
And now we've only
yeah.
just back to do 2 weeks of midweek wrap.
Yeah.
So this will be the third week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's really not much bloopers.
No, we're just too professional.
I'll-
Anyway,
that's why I keep rolling, because I want to get as much as I can. Like today.
Yeah.
you have to
Yeah.
find out what he's going to put
Today.
together because Danny's getting much more sneaky
Yep.
with his
He says cutting,
I'm cutting it, and I don't.
and then
cut.
2 minutes later, after Pat and I wow at each other. Okay, now I'm really
Now I
cutting.
remember cut, yeah. It's usually when you walk off, you both walk away. Like today, what was it you were doing? Oh, today's one, you were like,
Are you-
don't say this, and then you go and do say it, and so,
And I was like, you completely.
and I've got all of
messed
that,
that
so
up, Pat.
I'll be using that.
Can't
great. Can't wait for that one. Well, shall we bring it to a close?
Yeah, I think that was a really good chat.
Really, I would just talk more. Do we have anything else more? Like we can do another ad and then come back.
Let's do another quick ad break.
Yeah.
And then we'll share with you what we've got coming up.
Just
today.
we do a final,
Yeah.
like a 5-minute one.
All right,
Just
we'll
check.
be back on the other side of this. Cheers. Oh, there we go. Yes, thanks to your local community bank branch of the Bendigo Banks and Clark's Ice Cream Truck. Book him at clarks.com.au.
Yeah. Now, Valley Vibes, Pat.
Yeah, just wanted to quickly mention and do a quick shout out and a big shout out to the Oak Tree Tavern in the Basin, of course, who opened up their tavern to us to use as a studio to stream some sense of normality and sanity to you guys out there. Really hoped you enjoyed all the music broadcasts that we were able to share with you guys during lockdown and ISO. Had a laugh with the Detonators, with Sammy Owens Blues Band.
Some amazing
Gotcha.
people, yeah.
There was so many, too many to mention. Michelle Freeman,
Darlinghurst.
Mick Wales,
Yeah, Darlinghurst.
Darlinghurst.
Oh,
Of course, they're
goodness.
charting all over Australia.
They were phenomenal.
Yeah, they were good, weren't
And
they?
Marcel, the beautiful Marcel.
Marcel, Maz Green
Oh,
from
Maz.
Triple J.
Oh, yeah, she was
I know.
unbelievable. Yeah.
Mind
And the
blown.
good news is, Valley Vibes is back. So if you're
Yeah.
watching this Thursday, Friday, Tuesday night, we did a Valley
Yeah.
Vibes.
Blues
Haven't done it yet.
collaboration.
Haven't done it yet, but we will have.
I mean, don't say too much because it might have got cancelled.
Who
No,
knows?
no.
Are we talking from the past into
It's,
the
it's,
future
it's
right
definitely
now?
happening. So if you didn't watch it on Tuesday night,
Yep.
you can scroll back to the playlist and check it out, of course. And all of our videos are up there. We've got, I think, almost about 1,400 odd videos since in our 4 seasons.
Jeez.
So all
And
local
then-
content.
New milestone, was it 13,000 likes?
We're approaching 12,000.
Okay.
Yeah, 12,000 Facebook followers,
Woohoo.
which is huge.
my
But just waiting
goodness.
for the metrics to catch up. So one metric tells me that we're over 12,000, but the actual metric on the page says we're still at 11,900 or something.
Well,
so.
when I started, which as we know was like 2 years ago, there was
On the day.
2 years ago to the day.
You know,
Sorry, go for it.
yeah,
Oh, I was just going to say, we only had 3,000 followers.
that's it. Exactly
Okay.
right.
No comment.
No comment.
They're all following now because of Karina.
Yeah,
you see.
yeah.
That's
Oh,
why.
I just wanted to point out the growth.
There's lots of growth. Of
I
course,
was just not making it
Thank
about
you,
me. I
guys.
don't know what you guys are laughing about, but anyway.
of course, we have to thank our viewers out there. Of course, Danny, do you want to?
Yeah, I suppose the next one of these would be Christmas. Like we'll do our annual Christmas.
Yeah. Oh, we've got to do our Kris Kringle again.
Yes.
We know
Yes.
what you're getting. Oh, we know what Pat's getting, actually. Oh, gosh.
Cod socks. Anyway, yeah. Look, we might squeeze in another podcast depending on how many views this one gets. If you guys love the chats that we have, fling us some questions, okay? Leave your questions and comments in the broadcast and we can then answer them in our next podcast. Really appreciate your support again, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Let's thank everyone, of course. Danny Fieldman, love your work.
Yeah, thank you.
I still love your work too, Danny.
And I was going to say, Christmas one we should do live. We can do live and we can then answer questions on that. So
Yeah, we'll do the Christmas one live like we
yes.
did last year. We'll have to find a different location. But it's all good.
We can do that.
Karina, love your work.
Thanks, Pat.
Yeah.
Thanks. I have to say I have the best job in the world. I love my job. Love it. And I love connecting with, all these amazing people in the community and getting around with you too. So
Yeah, that's
it's
it.
awesome.
And of course, I'm Pat Boucher. I'll thank myself.
Oh, sorry, Pat. Oh, Danny, quick. We better thank
okay.
Pat.
No,
Thank you, Pat.
yeah.
Oh,
Oh, yes,
grateful
yes,
leader,
yes.
Pat. Oh,
Man, bow down, bow down.
executive
We're not worthy. We're not worthy.
We are not worthy.
And on that note, I love that. That's what I love to hear, of course. You've been watching At Home, the podcast, the Yarra Angels Live TV podcast, here at home on Yarra Angels Live TV. I'm Pat Boucher.
I'm Karina Stone.
And I'm Danny Field, I guess.
You got it. As always, we're living,
I don't
loving and
usually
sharing the behind-the-scenes life here at home on Yarra Angels Live TV. Thanks for watching, guys. See you next time.
See you soon.
Bye.